I mean, I think largely this is the problem, right? The idea that this is the binding prescription for all times.
I hope so. I think it's possible. I think one must make the argument for it. One must fight the intellectual wars with the Salafis and Wahhabis and so. And you have to win this war, and then you have a better Islam, and then you have also better Middle East, and that's a way out of it. And the problem is that I don't see anyone on the stage that can do such a thing, that has the charisma, that has what it takes. He has to be a Muslim. He cannot do that as an ex-Muslim. And so we have a lot of ex-Muslim and that can apply pressure, very strong intellectual pressure. We are a minority, but intellectually we can defend ourselves very strongly and our positions very strongly. However, we don't have people from inside that trying to do the repair work. What I imagine that the governments are doing, they try to distract people, in order to control extremism. For example, in Saudi Arabia or in Egypt or so, they distract people and they suppress the extremists, but they do not really deal with the intellectual problems of Islam. And that's a big problem, because you the problem is that when you suppress, is that you have to be always suppressing, otherwise they would explode if you don't. And that creates also the need for a dictator. So we are there in order to set order, because if you're not there, they will just vote a terrorist in government. And that happened in Egypt with the Muslim Brotherhood. And I think the Muslim Brotherhood did win the election, but they were not the favorite candidates of the people. The favorite candidates were much extremist than the Muslim Brotherhood, but they did get disqualified. So that's a problem. That's also why we have dictatorships in the Middle East. Is to a big part is because the dictatorships do not really solve the problems that requires their existence, and we have this an infinite loop of oppression and extremism that is really never broken. And I hope one day this chain gets broken. And I think the way to break it is through political will and money, but money in the correct places. And the West proved not to be so smart with their money in this. So they invested and did give support, for example, in Germany, to organizations that seems to be not really moderate, but say we are moderates. So I think so the people who can do it are actually the Arabs or the Muslims or the Middle Easterns. That might happen through Western pressure on the governments.
I mean, it's very difficult to create pressure from the inside, as both of us know from personal experience, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. From the inside to create pressure is like sometimes signing your death certificate or so. It's just not easy.
And what you mentioned there is also something I mentioned in the previous video about this, where you do have this kind of endless cycle of revolutions in the Arab world, where oftentimes Islamists will take part, and then if a more secular faction ends up taking more power, people start turning against each other, and the secular dictators will start using the Islamists as this kind of boogeyman that they need to be protected from, while at the same time kind of low-key being permitted to engage with the communities and engage in, I guess, things like anti-poverty measures and Islamic education and that kind of thing. So that the basic substance of the extremism is still being spread around, while the political arm of this ideology is temporarily being paralyzed, right? Um, yeah, that is going to have sway on world governments and the West, and people looking from the outside. So the dictators are keeping things in check. They're protecting the people from themselves and from the Islamists that would otherwise be in power, and while at the same time not really allowing a democratic alternative to emerge and have an open intellectual discourse about the different points of view, and I mean, I wish honestly that those people were like had more opportunity to express themselves. The Islamists, the terrorists, yeah. I wish that like they should have a voice, and but under the condition that we also have a voice, and we can also respond to them and have an open discussion. And I think over time, if we have a society with an open conversation about this, then we can move forward.